Hi, I'm Jeff Schwartz at Schwartz Performance. This is our October update. A lot of things have happened since our last update. Media coverage, for example. A real nice newspaper article here, 10 years of pumping muscle. This is our 10th year in business. We're really grateful for that. Good guys, autocross at Indianapolis. My son Dale won the double event there in the muscle car class. Also, my daughter Justina had the '89 Camaro that we built in the autocross, and she's got her photo in here as well. Hemmings Muscle Machine 70 Firebird that we completed a while back, latest issue. Chevy High Performance, really neat Camaro. It's actually on the cover, and then there's a dynamite burnout shot in there. Pretty cool. Street Rodder, our first time on a feature story in Street Rodder, 52 Ford with the Coyote engine. Surprise package, appropriately named. These calipers recently came in for a project, Bear Extreme Plus. Notice the name on there, Schwartz. That's pretty cool. Now people can look at the brakes through the wheels and know that it's got a Schwartz chassis underneath it. So pretty cool stuff. Bear Brakes is doing that for us now. Really happy. I just want to remind everybody, we are a Recaro dealer, one of 3 in Chicagoland. So we have all these seats available for test fitting and trying them on. They're pretty cool seats. They have heated and cooled options, all kinds of neat stuff. The Raybestos Mustang project is coming along pretty well. We're final fitting coolant pipes and doing power steering hoses and things like that. So it won't be long and we'll blow it apart for painting. This is the Boss 302 version of the Coyote. I believe this is about 435 horsepower. If you want to see what the car looks like, the rendering should be online by now. And it was displayed on Times Square recently, so pretty cool stuff. '55 Chevy project in process. '53 Buick Skylark chassis. These cars are worth about $250,000 fully restored. Someone wants to cut one up and build it into a hot rod, so we built them a chassis. This one's getting a CTS-V supercharged engine with some upgrades to about 700 horsepower. Can you imagine that in a Buick Skylark convertible? That's going to be a riot. For the rear suspension on this '53 Buick Skylark, we used Heights independent rear suspension, and then we've also got Ride Tech air ride on it. This '68 Camaro project is kind of interesting. We get a lot of these where the car is completely done and restored and the customer's not happy with the ride and the driving quality. So this one here had an LF swap in it already, but it had pretty much stock suspension and a couple little bolt-ons. Customer didn't like how it rode and drove. It drove like an old car, like a '68 Camaro did when it was new. But we've all been spoiled by modern technology, and current cars are pretty darn good. So we put a Schwartz G-Machine chassis in here. At this point, we're just test fitting everything, making sure that everything fits. In this case, someone put a different core support in here than was stock, so we had to modify the frame horn slightly to fit the core support that was put into this car. So should be a really fun driving car, and it'll have excellent ride quality and really outstanding handling. With these full chassis for unibody cars, which we pioneered, the front section bolts on to the original subframe mounts on this Camaro, and then there's a mount here that bolts into where the leaf spring pocket was. So this locates the car front to back and in the structural areas of the original unibody structure. And then up here, there's a hole drilled through here, and we put a tube in there so that the frame rail doesn't collapse, and then we bolt it through the original frame rail. If this car had been mini-tubbed, this frame rail would be narrowed slightly and it would still bolt through that area. But it's a total bolt-in installation. and in this case it's a convertible, so we did have to cut the little convertible bracing, and the rear floor pan gets a slight little slot as well, but gives it really nice low stance type ride height. You don't see the frame hanging down below. It's no further down than the original factory subframe, and then we've got our triangulated 4-bar suspension along with the standard RideTech shock absorbers and Moser rear end. Another unique feature of our chassis is our frame ends right here. Our sway bar goes through this chassis tube with a billet aluminum arm, connects to the rear end right here with a heim joint. Even though this isn't a stock tank, this is in the stock location of the original tank. So our chassis, you can still use the original gas tank on the Camaro application as well as Mustang. Yeah, baby, Rival S tires. Those that do autocross, no, these are the best in the business. This is that right-hand drive 70 CUDA project, so we're in the final stages of the metal work on the body, and what we're doing is welding onto the edge of the trunk to get all the gaps proper and nice and evenly spaced. This is where it takes a lot of time and detail work to really have a quality product. So we've done that on here, nice even gap, and then the same thing on this other side, you know, nice even gap here. Also on this quarter panel, we fully welded this, and then we also laid another piece of metal in there to raise up the surface so we have a minimal amount of filler material needed when we do the final bodywork. This C5 Corvette, the owner wanted flared fenders on it so he could have a little more tire clearance for the really wide tires in the back. So we fitted these fenders that had flares in them already. Took a fair amount of work to try to get them to fit properly, and then we've got all that done, and then black is a difficult color to make sure the fiberglass parts are nice and straight. So we've done all of that, and we're just putting it all back together now, and it should be really a nice look to the car, more aggressive from the back end. 69 Camaro, the owner asked us to check out the floor pan to see how structurally it was installed, and what we found was a bunch of tack welds that weren't very well penetrated, covered by a bunch of caulk. So we basically are cutting out the entire floor and welding a new floor pan in just to make it structurally sound and you know, properly done. We welded some bracing in here to keep it from moving, and it should be really nice when we get finished up with this. But you can see some areas where there's rusted metal and so forth. This is a 67 Corvette Convertible. It's got our Schwartz LS7 in there along with the Schwartz chassis. That's a new product for us, and we flared the fenders to fit wider tires underneath there and get more traction in the back end as well. It's kind of a wide body configuration, and I really like how it looks. We're letting this one cure now to before we start doing the final sanding on it. 70 Chevelle Convertible, same kind of deal. Just doing all the final blocking on it, getting rid of all the high and low spots, and then it'll be ready to shoot paint. I'm really excited about this project. A 1950 Studebaker Champion. The cool story is my uncle, Helge Hansen, and his brother Oscar Hansen bought this car brand new in 1950 from Erickson's Garage in Kelliher, Minnesota, a Studebaker dealer in the area at the time. This thing has been out of commission since 1971. And you can see the Minnesota plate there, 1971. That's the last time it was driven. However, it was fired up just last week. My cousin Ray Hansen hooked up an electric fuel pump to the carburetor as it appeared that the stock mechanical pump was not functioning anymore, and it fired right up. So pretty cool, 120,000 original miles. We're building a hot rod out of it, a Pro Touring Studebaker. Can you picture it? Well, if you saw the 52 Ford we did recently, This car will have similar billet wheels that look like the factory Steely's, along with the original Studebaker hubcap. It'll have an aluminum LS engine in it. This car is amazingly light. Back in the day, this 50 Studebaker won the Popular Mechanics fuel economy run, and it got over 27 miles to the gallon in 1950. The cool thing, it was very lightweight. It had an overdrive transmission, a 3-speed in the tree along with an electric overdrive that you pulled a button and it went into overdrive gear. Incredible fuel economy. It only had about 85 horsepower out of this inline flathead 6-cylinder, which by the way is all cast iron. This car, we weighed it this morning, 2,745 pounds. That's exactly what the factory claimed that it weighed. I was a little skeptical about that, but we verified it. The bullet nose on here was kind of an aircraft theme, so this thing's in incredible shape, especially the nose. There's a few things we're going to need to get chrome plated, and I can't wait to get started on this. It's kind of a dark grayish green color originally. I'll show you that in the door jambs where it's not faded in a moment. And we're going to go with a similar color, but it'll be a metallic with base coat clear, and of course we use PPG products. Take a look at how these door handles open. Is that cool or what? Inside the car, there's a hood release right down here, and that's the overdrive switch right there. What other car had a cable hood release in 1950? I'm not sure. Another cool feature is when you roll down the window and open up the vent window, there's no frame around the vent window. It's almost like a hardtop. Another cool feature of this car is these seats. Most seats folded forward to get in the back seat, of course. However, this one folds at more of a severe angle to give better access to the rear compartment. Look at that. I could jump right in there. The dash is in incredible shape, and we're going to recondition the gauges and use all the factory ones. Our Chevy shop truck, Schwartz chassis and a 540 big block Chevy is coming along. We're test fitting grill and things like that. Haven't made a lot of progress on it since the last update. Customer projects take priority around here. But we plan on having this thing out in springtime. What we got here is a Ford Model A. It's going to be a pretty cool project. I'll tell you about it next month. This is my 1967 Ford Custom 500. The Ford Custom 500 was kind of a basic model of the Galaxy. The LTD was top of the line, Galaxy 500 was the next step down, and then you had the Custom 500 and the Custom. The Custom was like a Chevy Biscayne, for example. It was the low end of the full-size cars. Custom 500 had carpeting in it. The Custom just had a rubber mat. Anyway, basic car, really cool. Kind of rare nowadays because nobody really kept these cars. They just kind of threw them away. I got this from the original owner 10 years ago in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The car spent its entire life there in Albuquerque. And the original owner was Jose Baca from Albuquerque. So anyway, I'm really excited about the car. I've owned it for 10 years. It's finally painted. We've got a 450 8 cubic inch FE series engine going in it, and it's got Survival Motorsports cylinder heads, aluminum, that have been ported really well, and we've got the dual quad factory style intake along with the dual Holley carburetor. So it's going to be really a cool car with the high performance optional engine that was offered in these cars back in the day, the 427 V8. So it's kind of a tribute car to the original 427 R code cars that came factory with the 427 Cobra V8.